Um,
All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Streak. I'm your host, as always, Drake Riggs, here for the November 2023 installment in The Streak. We are back in our beautiful Memphis studio setup after a week back home in the Great Pacific Northwest 2 weeks ago, I guess. My goodness, everything's a blur right now, you guys. We're recording this episode. Time of recording is 1:31 p.m. on March 14th, Friday here. We're gonna release this the same day, so right after we're done recording here. But my goodness, since that last episode, I've been sick like this whole month. And I'm still not 100%. I'm good enough to record the episode right now. I might sound a little bit more nasally than usual. Excuse me. There are going to be some maybe coughs every now and then. I've taken some medicine, but ever since I got back 2 weeks ago, like literally the day after my travel day back to Memphis, it's just been hell. I've just been sick for 2 weeks, so it has not been a fun time over in Casa de Rigatoni, if you will. But we are pushing through. We're getting better. I feel about 80-ish. Head's a little bit cloudy today. Still, the sinuses are a little bit, stuffed, but we're getting through it. We're pushing through here for, like I said, the November 2023 installment of The Streak. My goodness, The Streak, alive and well, still kicking. I am so fucking excited for April 2025, you guys. Which we'll get to that episode in due time, but I've just got things lined up for next month, which I'm already insanely excited about. That's a big one. This next April. But we had a big one with the last episode. The October 2023 episode was a doozy. Still probably the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. Still the handful of memories, my goodness, for all sorts of reasons that stick out to me the most. But we wouldn't have the November episode without the October one, in a sense, because if you recall, we'll get right into it here. Beach Fossils and Turnover for the same show. Turnover was one of the openers with Beach Fossils. There, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we have the tour poster in the background, and then we got the Portland show right there, the November 10th show. So, where was I going with that? Yes, from October, I wasn't sure what to do for November, and as I mentioned on the last episode, towards the end, during that month, I'm going to try and mute myself when I need to clear my throat, you guys. I apologize already. I might even edit those parts out, because now I'm feeling self-conscious. Only 5 minutes into the show, my goodness. But at the end of episode, the last one, the October 2023 installment of The Streak, I mentioned how started getting into a new relationship at that time, which in turn led to this month and this show, this installment here of Beach Fossils, because I had never heard of Beach Fossils or Turnover, at least that I know of. You know, sometimes you hear songs and you don't know who they're by. There could have been instances of that with either band, and I just didn't realize it. Obviously a lot more alty, some slower alt rock, as we can hear in the background right now with some Social Jet Lag by Beach Fossils. And it's a genre I've really grown to love since starting this whole thing, but I did not know who either of them were until we will address her as the good ex. Because I have my last two girlfriends. It's the good ex and the bad ex, which the bad one is Mystique, who we mentioned in the previous episodes, but we'll just call, I mean, I guess they're all good compared to the devil variant, you know what I'm saying? But the good ex here, she told me about Beach Fossils and Turnover, and I think it was after, I think we were talking about it when I was still in Vegas, and I don't know if it was when I had just seen Baby Metal or while I was seeing Baby Metal, because I was like texting her throughout that whole show and the whole trip and everything, because that was when we first started communicating. Well, no, I mean, not when we first started, but, you know, we'd been talking for a while. And she said that the next show that she was going to was Beach Fossils Turnover in November. And she kind of felt a little bit jokingly like, well, I have an extra ticket if you want to go. And I was like, hell yeah, you know, not just free ticket, but free ticket, pretty girl. I like this girl. You're invited. If you're offering, sure, I'm down for it. You know, who knows where we'll be by then. So, as you can clearly tell by how the story, what we're doing with this episode, it did work out to where that happened. So, she told me what her favorite songs were for each band, and those were the first songs that I heard. You know, that's the tradition here at the Streak, I'll tell you, because I remember always the first songs that I heard by each band. Just kind of one of those weird things that I have with my memory. But it was Down the Line by Beach Fossils was her favorite song, or at least one of them. It was that one and What a Pleasure, but the first one I listened to was Down the Line, and then What a Pleasure was after that. Both great songs. And for Turnover was Dizzy on the Come Down, which was her favorite. And she was more into Turnover anyway. She really wanted to see them more than Beach Fossils. And I don't know who I'd say I like more than the other, but they're both great vibes. As we just relax and chill here. And there's a funny tie-in to that too once we get to the show, so with the good vibe aspect of things. But yeah, so that's kind of how we got to picking this one for November, because she told me that, you know, early on enough to where I was like, all right, I'm not gonna fully expect this to happen because that'd be pretty fucking stupid of me. But, you know, I was like, fingers crossed that works out. That'd be a really cool thing. It's the beginning, November 10th. It's not super, you know, it's early in the month still. I'll hesitantly trust that this will still be a thing by the time we get there. So I didn't really look for any other shows because of that. But I do remember this was around the time where I really started getting into The Warning. And I fucking absolutely love The Warning. They might be my favorite band right now. I have a handful of current favorites. I guess I'll just throw them out there for you. But I love The Warning right now. Poppy, Spirit Box, Motionless in White, of course. We touched on them in the last episode. Baby Metal is always up there. These are in terms of like current favorites. I was just jamming out to I listened to the new Architects album yesterday, actually, which was pretty good. They're not a favorite though, but that's just coming to mind. But those first ones I mentioned are kind of the favorites right now. Yeah. So Anyway, the warning is one that we still have to check off the box, but in November, the same month, I think it was, I want to say November 26th-ish, maybe, like Thanksgiving week, they were doing some shows in Mexico where they're from, the trio of sisters from Monterrey, Mexico. They had a show in Cancun, and I was like, what better fucking excuse than to go to, I don't know if it was Cancun, maybe not Cancun, but it was somewhere in Mexico, kind of close to Cancun. I don't remember exactly the city, but it was kind of more on the tail of Mexico, you know, if you're looking at the map, you know what I mean by the tail. And I was like, shit, that sounds like an awesome idea. And at that time, I believe I was already committed to going to the PFL Championship show, which was in Washington, D.C. on Thanksgiving, which I think was the 25th of that month. So I was like, if I can maybe parlay this off the back half, go to D.C. and then go down to Mexico for, even if it's just a day, just to see the warning, I'm fucking out. And in Mexico, that'll be awesome because that's their territory, right? I thought long and hard about that. I really wanted to see them. In the end, it ended up being good that I didn't go, and we'll get to why as this episode rolls on here. But like financially, I could have, but you know, I was still in recovery mode, and I think I was in the process of, you know, going through the therapy and whatnot too. So one of my big learning lessons through that was, you know, really listen to yourself more, and if, you know, how you're reacting to anything, just listen to you and your body, because your body will tell you a lot of things that maybe your mind doesn't understand. So think about, like, why are you feeling this way? Really get in touch with it, hone in on it. That was one of my biggest takeaways from therapy. And I remember when I was looking at, like, doing the Warning Mexico trip, I had kind of a feeling inside of me that was like, there. If there's a feeling existing, that's the problem. That kind of makes you feel a little bit like uneasy, then that's a sign that you probably shouldn't do it. And I think that was maybe for, again, some reasons we'll get to, some things that happened that we'll get to, but also it's like, all right, maybe this is too much of like getting extreme with getting really into the streak and carried away with, you're still building back up after having no money. It only would have been like an $1,000 trip, so really not that bad, but a lot for me at the time. I think I was probably working with around $4,000 to $5,000 total to my name. So I think that was a part of just like, you know, you really want to, but then things are working out here. You got another person in your life. So that's a confliction that I still don't feel great about, to think about that, because I should have been focusing, if I wanted to do it fully, don't even think about anybody else. But at the same time, it was a far better and exponentially different situation than the previous relationship. So there were a couple things to that, but ultimately, I think what kind of swayed me out of it was the just the dent that it would have put, and it wouldn't have been like a big setback, but I still really want to see the Warning, and we will talk more about the Warning for sure as the streak continues here. I don't remember which. There is a story for the Warning that we will definitely talk about when the month arrives for the show that we get to, but anyway. For Beach Fossils and Turnover, they were performing in the wonderful Roseland Theater. The wonderful Roseland, which I know I've already mentioned on the streak so far. Probably my favorite venue all time. Out of any that I've been to. I mean, I don't know if I want to say any that I've been to, but you know, it's the default favorite because it's from back home, and I have a sweet spot for it, but the Roseland is the OG. It is one of my favorites. So when I saw that it was there, I was like, all right, that's even better. I love it. Let's do it. So around this time, we're like me and the good ex are fully into the new relationship, right? And let me think. I got to remember the timeline here. But yeah, getting to that week of November 10th, we tried to hang out as much as we could with our schedules and, see each other and go on our dates and all that stuff and just get more into it, if you will. But that week, I think it was like the first time we hung out like back to back 3 days in a row. Because we went on a date night on the Wednesday, because I believe November 10th was Friday. I don't have my calendar up, but it was. Yes, that was a Friday. So we had a date night on the Wednesday, and then the day after we went to a house party, which she invited me to with some of her coworkers and stuff like that. And then the day after was the concert one. So we kind of, it was a lot of partying going on, right? So a lot of drinking leading up to the big culmination of the concert day. And she still had work on these days. So it was kind of funny in that regard because the back half of my schedule at the time was the most chill. But we made it work. And so we get to the Friday, and it's kind of a special day. It's a little bit of, it was an unspoken form of, you could consider it a birthday present, I guess, to me, because this was like a week and a half after my birthday, and I didn't really consider it that way, and that obviously wasn't the intention because we talked about it before she even knew what my birthday was, but there were kind of all these elements of let's, make this a whole special thing, make it a special week. And it was. It really was. We had a lot of fun those first 2 days. And then going down to Portland a little bit early, just so we can, maybe go on a little date, have some dinner first, which we went to the Portland City Grill, which that was the first and only time still that I've been there. And that's a kind of cool, fancy place. Just because it is up on like the 30th floor of a building. And I remember she was a little bit scared of the elevators because of, they're a little wobbly when you go up that high. So that was kind of a funny little moment. But great food, Portland City Grill. Obviously, like I said, a little fancy though. So might be out of your, you're going to be spending if you're going there. So, again, it was kind of these things that played into mind, too, where, like, well, being in relationships isn't cheap. Just if you're going to do things and be a good partner, just naturally, you're going to end up paying for more things. So I think that was part of an element, too, going back to the whole Warning concert not happening. But yeah, Portland City Grill was great. That was a good prep. I feel like I don't want to say we went to it too early. We had enough time, but right afterward, go down, get in line when it was still barely even a line yet, outside the Roseland. Get in there, still kind of chilling. And this is why. Now I'm remembering. I was going to say, I feel like we went to dinner a little bit too early, maybe, because by the time we got in there, it was like, I think she ordered some tater tots, and it was like, we just kind of ate, and like, but I guess we didn't just eat, because now we're a little bit hungry again, let's get some drinks, whatever, yada yada. It was a whole thing. But, get in there, chilling, plenty of time, get some merch, gotta have, the memorabilia to remember the moments and the trips with. I think we had the VIP bags, pretty sure. So I know I still have my shirt and some of the other stuff that it came with. But with the Roseland, it's an interesting. Well, I think why I like it so much is it's the perfect blend of not for a show like this, but if you're going for a metal show or something, you can get your chaos down in the pit on the bottom floor, and then the top floor, kind of like, you know, overarching. They have the seats, excuse me, and there's bars up there too on each end. So it's kind of like you go up the middle stairs, and then on the left and the right you have your sections of seating, and you know, you can stand up there too if there's no space, but you know, then you're obviously just up and a little bit away. But then they have the bars there, and there's some below as well. They got the whole hookup going on. But we found our spots upstairs for that show. Which in hindsight I think is kind of interesting, because I know that she always liked to be as close as possible when going to shows, which depending on the show, I'm all about that too. You know, like if it's a band I'm really fucking in love with and want to sing along and vibe hardcore, then that's kind of how I feel. But if it's like one where I'm a fan, but I'm not super in love with you, and I'm trying to let out some steam, feel the vibes in a different way, then we'll party in the pit or stuff like that. Or depending on who you're with. Usually people I go with aren't trying to do that. So, but again, this wasn't a show where that mattered. So we just enjoyed ourselves up on the balcony. That was the word I was looking for. Balcony. What a great word. And yeah, I mean, well, I gotta clear the throat again. My goodness. We're getting better. We're getting better. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry, listeners and viewers. Like I said, off the top, we're still getting over the sickness. But yeah, it was. It felt weird to kind of see a show like this in the Roseland, because again, I'm so used to seeing the opposite vibes, as opposed to, you know, these nice melodies and whatnot. But so yeah, we were chilling at a good spot up on the balcony, had our drinks, and she was really excited to see Turnover. Like I said, she liked them more than Beach Fossils. And I remember when they came on, it was a three-piece. I don't remember who opened for them. I'm looking at the poster here. It doesn't say who the opener was. There was one more band before Turnover that played. I don't remember at all who that band was. And that's not because we drank a lot or anything, but just because the focus was more on Turnover, Beach Fossils. I think might have been moving around even for that first band, still kind of settling and getting the merch and drinks and whatnot. But I remember when Turnover came out, it was funny because we were kind of confused. We were like, that's them, right? It's only these three bands. We just heard the first one. Turnover is next. But we couldn't tell because the lead singer like buzzed his hair off. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty fresh, super recently, and he did not always look like that. So we were like, this is them, right? Like, yeah, listen, no, it's this song, whichever, you know, one they opened with and whatnot. But that was funny. We were like, oh yeah, that's them. He just made a drastic change to the appearance. So we were vibing. It was a good time. I mean, you can't really go wrong, I think, with bands. I don't want to generalize them all in being good because of the genre, but like, you know, I don't think it's too difficult. I'm saying this as mostly a person whose favorite genre is metal. I feel like making decent, chill, not necessarily alt specific music, but not the most difficult thing. It's not the most challenging genre to make music in, but they were great. They were fantastic. Turnover killed it. It was really fun to, you know, hear these songs that we had been listening to a whole bunch within the past month or so. and then hear them in person, vibing out in the Roseland. And then once Beach Fossils came out there, they were really fun too. I remember it's like when you hear them play those songs that you were really looking forward to, it always hits a little bit different. And again, getting to sing along, that's always a fun part. And it was just such a vibey show, if I can speak properly, that, yeah, everybody's just feeling that same looseness, chilling. It's a good time. It's a good time. I think that shows like these, people should experience at least once, because they're for everybody. There's not a person who won't enjoy like the vibes that Beach Fossils and Turnover put out there. So it was a good time. And I'm trying to remember how I was going to tie this in now. Oh, in terms of the vibes, this works perfectly. Yeah, the vibes are so good, relaxing, and all that kind of thing. It was funny because I remember towards the end of Beach Fossils, she started to fall asleep a little bit on the shoulder. I was like, babe, what are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, wake up. But I mean, I'm not going to say that I was fully awake either. They were it was very easy to doze off in that show, especially if you're sitting down. Again, another reason I don't like to necessarily sit down at a show. For one like this, not a chance. You got to get up and vibe. But it's funny I say that because then, as they came back for the encore, I tried to get her to dance. As we were up on the balcony, I was like, let's go down there. But she wasn't having it. She was too tuckered out from the week that we had beforehand. So it was kind of a little bit of just a chill, dizzy on the come down. That didn't flow too well, but that's the song that we got on right now. So, yeah, I mean, it was great. It was a great show. It was a great time. It was a great week. Everything about, that stretch from kind of late September to the end of November was pretty fantastic. But then, as all things do, they come to an end. So this was quite a moment because I mentioned the PFL finals show, the championship in Washington, D.C. on Thanksgiving. Or no. The day after Thanksgiving. It was the day after Thanksgiving. That was the championship day. So the Bad X, Mystique, I found out about stuff. Relationship ended when I was at the Jake Paul, Nate Diaz event. And then, fast forward to the PFL Championship, then my next good relationship ends on that day. So it's like, man, are we cursed with having relationships and going to shows? Haven't done that since, so don't know. Don't know if there is a curse that has developed here, but I was like, fuck, this sucks. This sucks pretty badly. Wow. Dang, didn't see that one coming. But, it was not messy. It was, it sucked. Of course, it wasn't fun. And kind of caught me off guard and all that stuff. But comparatively, there's a lot of ways to look at it. And I'll save that for the book. So here's another tease for you guys for Plastic Tiara. My experience with a sociopath. Coming likely this year. We're still getting through it. I'm hoping to have it done by this year for sure. By the end of this year at the latest. But I had a lot of revelations kind of from that relationship, and I'll put this part in the book too, but I'll say it now because it was one of those things where it was crazy for as short of a time as we were together. In that short amount of time, she had treated me better than my bad ex had treated me for in that short amount of time, she treated me better than my bad ex had treated me for the entire, much longer length of time. I was like, holy fuck, man. And like, she didn't do anything overly crazy or insane either. She was just a human who cared and, cared for their partner. What a thought. What a sentiment. So they were kind of, that was one of the big things. I guess probably the biggest thing to take away from that whole experience and everything. And that made it difficult too afterward, of course. But for the most part, that was the big one. There were many things, of course, but it was a good experience, a needed experience. And I don't know if the timing of it made it better or worse or was perfect. It's hard to say, but I think it worked out. I think it worked out pretty good to lead into a pretty goddamn good 2024. And then 2025 is off to a hell of a slow burn. Hell of a fucking slow burn. And like I said, this month has been ass for me because I've just been sick all month. But that is essentially all we got for the November installment, November 2023 Beach Fossils and Turnover, which is quite fitting. I think quite fitting that this story heavily revolved around, the follow-up, a good relationship, as it stems from, as the whole thing doesn't stem from, but springboarded off of. The streak springboarded off the bad times and got us to the good, and we're still rolling. And that is what it's all about. Maintaining that positivity, projecting that positivity, and listening to yourself. So yeah, I think that'll about do it, you guys. These 30 minute sections here. It's like a perfect timing. And it's just coming naturally, which is really nice to see. But for next month, the next month installment, the next episode of The Streak, we'll be going to December 2023, which, boy oh boy, I'm sure I'm going to say this on that episode too, but December might be the hardest month to find concerts. For at least since I've been doing this streak, December has not been an easy one, and I guess I've only dealt with 2 Decembers so far. End of the year, start of the year, just that whole time period is not easy. People don't go to shows, which I get why, but tricky. So for December 2023, we will return to the Rosen Theater for the legend himself, Zach fucking Wild. My goodness. There we go. As I drop my comb. If you guys are watching on YouTube, probably saw me spinning that. But all right, there we have it, you guys. That will do it for this installment of The Streak. Thank you so much for listening or watching, whether that was on YouTube or Spotify. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you want. I mean, this is definitely a series and a podcast that you have to be following each episode. You can't just really... You can listen to one, but I realize that is quickly kind of taking a turn. You got to follow along with all of them to really understand the gist of things, unless you just want to hear about the show experience, which is cool too. Whatever you're listening for, I appreciate you. You can follow me at Drakers_ on Twitter and Instagram. Other than that, I will see you for the next one, you guys. Take care. Stay safe and stay sane. That's the catchphrase. We're sick. We're getting through it, you guys. All right. Peace.